one of the things that I've learned, a lesson that I learned early on was out of a mistake. And the contractors and architects alike and the audience engineers can all relate that this is an industry, the building industry is one that you will make a mistake. It's not if you, it's when you, and how big will it be, right? There's just too much to know, and everything's a one-off. And so we're constantly inventing new things and making mistakes. I think early on, I felt the pressure of knowing everything. So I don't know if you've heard this adage in the industry, but architects are ones who know very little about a great deal. Engineers, on the other hand, know a great deal about very little. Contractors, of course, know everything about everything. And at least as far as the architects go, I think there's a lot of truth to we know very little about a great deal. Our profession involves knowing a lot of different sciences and subject matter, and you can never learn it all. But I think early on, you feel under the pressure in your career to have answers.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Builder's Bible. I'm joined by Dave Lee, and this is a fun one, actually. Dave is one of the partners at an architecture firm that helps design retreat centers. And after our preliminary conversation, we actually came to the conclusion that I became a Christian at one of the retreat centers that Dave actually helped design back in New York with a ministry called Young Life, which is crazy to me. Like, he loves serving that community, and the fact that I was one of the fruits of kind of that labor is really, really cool. So Dave, I'm excited to dive in. Thanks for joining us here today.
Hey, my pleasure.
Well, my first question is always the same. Who are you, and how did you get to where we are today?
So I'm an architect by training, partner in architecture, landscape architecture and planning firm outside Boulder, Colorado. And kind of ended up here in an indirect path that I didn't, I can't take credit for. I think was directed here. Just love what I do, love the clients we work with, and I find the work fulfilling because it makes, allows me to involve my faith in my profession.
I love that. Well, it's interesting. We deal with mostly people in construction, but you're not necessarily building the things. You're designing the things that need to be built. So I think you'll offer a refreshing and different perspective on this conversation. Just talk to us about like the scope of your work. I don't know if there's a metric or a number you can kind of give us to understand the scope. Is it, how many projects are you working on? Your guys' like overall sales last year? How can we help the audience understand like the amount of work that you guys are doing?
Well, we are a small firm in a very specialized niche. So there's 5 of us plus one in our firm. We have an architect in North Carolina and one in Florida, and the rest of us are here in Boulder. And we are. We do about 75% of our work are faith-based camps and conference centers, retreat centers. We do churches as well, but then we do around in Colorado, we do more broad-based work like schools and hotels and, a variety of that kind of stuff. But so that's kind of the nature of who we are.
Okay. What, Dave, every business owner kind of has sticking points that they're experiencing. It's, if you're a $10 million company or a $50 million company, everybody has some sort of a barrier they're trying to break through. Like, what are some of the things or challenges that you guys face as a company?
So just in terms of our revenue or our size, we've been everything from about 5 to 15. And I think the sweet spot is more in the 5 to 10 range. And yeah, we like that size. We like the intimacy that allows us within the firm and our relationship with our clients. So the principals don't get too far removed from the projects themselves and the clients. In larger firms, the principals are often the rainmakers. They bring in work, but they don't get a chance to do a lot of it. There's two of us that are principals. We stay with the project and are involved with it because we love the work. So I love the simpler, smaller, more humble sized firm because I love the work and the meaning of the involvement that we have with it. So, yeah, does that answer your question?
It does. And like, I think my question to follow that is, what are the typical pain points or sticking points that affect a company like yours? So let's use commercial building, for instance. It's project management, estimation, and skilled labor. Like, what are the things that kind of keep your firm up at night, I suppose? Not like keep you up at night, but just like issues you face.
Yeah, I would. There's all the pains right now that come with our economy with finding personnel, finding staff, finding contractors who are available. It's been busy around here. But I think maybe more generally, in terms of a trend that I see occurring in our industry, I'd say a pain point is government regulation. That I've been at this 45 something years. Over the span of my career, the amount of time I spend dealing with regulations, be they building codes or planning and zoning code, that's increased very significantly. We just spend a lot more time and energy meeting a broader range and more increased range of codes, both in construction and in the planning and zoning phase. And that in turn has increased the cost of construction and development, I think. So that's been a significant trend. I don't see that ending. So yeah, it's a pain.
Tell us about any technology that you guys use. I might be going off script a little bit here, but what kinds of tools do you guys employ to get your work done, whether it be CRMs or project management tools or design tools? Like, what are some of the softwares that you interact with every day to get the work done?
Well, there again, the really significant trend over the span of my career, one that just keeps going faster and faster, I think, would be the computers and the advent of computers and computer-aided drafting and design tools in our industry, 3D modeling, information systems that keep track of information, project schedules. All of that has really increased, I guess, our capacity to produce, to how quickly we were able to create construction drawings, model, design, simulate things for our client. More recently, I think the GPS has entered into our world, especially on the planning and aerial photography by drones, aerial surveying by drones, and then things like 3D building scanning inside and outside buildings. Those are great tools that have really become great cost savings and time saving tools for the whole industry. And the ability to communicate with our contractors. Most of our work's out of state. So that technology and things like online meetings, Zoom, what we're doing right now, that ability to communicate with people at a distance has increased our range of where we can do work.
Interesting. Well, let's double click on the AI thing because I'm always interested to know how it's affecting different industries. How are you using it now? And then where do you feel like you could be using it that you're not?
So AI, I think, I mean, it's snuck into certain realms and it is somewhat transparent what it's doing for us. We are not, as a smaller firm, we are not, we don't have a whole department investigating how AI can help us. I think it's going to change the industry significantly. We're on we're just at the beginning point, the renaissance maybe of what's going to happen. I think it's really going to change our industry, and it'll allow us resources of information and maybe applying information more directly. That's going to be a great tool, but I also see a negative impact it will have to not just our industry, but other industries as well. You want me to offer what I think?
I'm interested in any and all perspectives on it. So, some people love it, hate it. Some people are leveraging it. Other people are, kind of sticking their heads in the sand. I'm just kind of curious to know what your guys' overall perspective on it is,
Yeah, I think I think areas that I'm excited for it to help us. Let's go back to the building codes. That they're very complex, right? And there's a lot of building codes. Now there's energy codes. Now it goes on. And the ability to know all that and apply it to the project is a daunting task, especially for young architects. And so something like AI can apply that knowledge and help identify in your designs early on where you're not meeting a code, you're maybe violating a code, or here's the solution of how you would meet that, offer some different actual designs for that. So I see that in that realm, it's in the information application world, I'm excited for it. Where I think it may dumb down the profession. I think this gets into our faith, but we were created in God's image. He created us with imagination and creativity, and I think it's one of the big things that separates us from the rest of life He created. But we were created in His image. It's His gift of creativity and imagination, and I think that's what's gotten us to where we are, and that creative problem solving that we employ. I think AI threatens that creative problem solving and our ability to be good at it, because we are not going to exercise it. We'll get dependent on AI to solve our problems, on our tasks. And if it's fast, it's efficient, we can make more money with it, right? But I think out of problems have come some of the very best solutions in architecture. Some of the wonderful things were really a creative problem solving of some obstacle that the architect thought of and overcame. Projects like Frank Lloyd Wright's Falling Water, or where he built a house over a waterfall, instead of by the side of it, and had to creatively problem solve all that, on and on. But just see that we were created to use that imagination and that creativity, and in so doing, we become fulfilled. And I think we learn more about God, because that's one of our connection points to God, is that creativity. And so I hate to see AI replace that. I see it with children on phones, it replacing good conversation. There's things it displaces unintentionally, but technology has a way of sneaking into our lives and taking over. And some of the areas it takes over, we no longer exercise, is a loss, So
That's good. Yeah, I think kind of to double click on that for a second, I think if you have an ounce of creativity, you've been handed a lottery ticket, right? It's a tool that you can leverage to build things quickly and efficiently, but by no means I think it should be something to replace some of that. It's more like it's kind of like the old video games. You're getting a power up, right? You're like being given um, you're being given a power up. It's okay. Last question. What we haven't, is there anything that we haven't talked about today that you'd like to talk about? Is there a cause? Is there, a business lesson? Anything that you want to impart to the audience that we haven't discussed?
I would say one of the things that I've learned, a lesson that I learned early on was out of a mistake. And the contractors and architects alike and the audience, engineers, can all relate that this is an industry, the building industry is one that you will make a mistake. It's not if you, it's when you, and how big will it be, right? There's just too much to know, and everything's a one-off. And so we're constantly inventing new things and making mistakes. I think early on, I felt the pressure of knowing everything. So I don't know if you've heard this adage in the industry, but architects are ones who know very little about a great deal. Engineers, on the other hand, know a great deal about very little. Contractors, of course, know everything about everything. And at least as far as the architects go, I think there's a lot of truth to we know very little about a great deal. Our profession involves knowing a lot of different sciences and subject matter, and you can never learn it all. But I think early on, you feel under the pressure in your career to have answers, right? So I was on this job site, and I was asked a question if the contractor, if he could make a change. And so feeling the pressure of having the answer, I said, yeah, I think we can make that change. And what I should have said that I've learned to say now is, I'm not sure about that answer. Let me go back to the office and look into that a little deeper, and then I'll let you know. So it humbled me. After approving that change, they made the change, and it turned out I was not keeping in mind everything in the set of drawings. And in buildings, there's a lot of interrelated parts, right? Thank goodness they aren't moving parts, generally. So it created a conflict with another element in the building, and they built it, changed it, built it, and then had to redo it again because I told them that's okay. So should have just been humble and said, I don't know that. Let me go back and research that a little bit. So recognizing that we know very little about a great deal, knowing where to find the answer is way more realistic and a better strategy than having all the answers.
That's great. That's a good word because I think we've all at some point fallen victim to wanting to make the client happy and just telling them what they want to hear and it coming back to bite us in some regard. So I think about this all the time when I'm pricing out a deal. I'm like, is this a good deal for me or is this a good deal for my client? And, am I going to be able to make any money on this deal or am I just trying to get the deal, So it's a good word. Well, Dave, if people want to learn more about who you are and what you do, where can they go?
Well, I have a email address. If they want, I'm not on Facebook, but they can. I have an email address that I left with, I think, with you guys, and we have a website for our firm as well, and that's info@flaboulder.com.
And I'm thinking about my audience, all these guys with Rise Up Kings, a lot of them are pursuing some sort of ministry. Their business is fueling some sort of ministry. I know a lot of guys that are buying like retreat center, land for retreat centers and stuff. So for those of you guys listening on this podcast, Dave is your guy. Reach out to him when you're dreaming about what you're going to put on the land you're buying. He's your man. Dave, thanks so much for joining us. Don't hop off yet. I want to chop it up with you a little bit after this, but thanks so much for joining us on the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Andrew. Take care.